students, this is the second question of day one. This is of difficulty easy. I've just randomly selected the second question. And let's just get started. The question says that we are given an array of size n minus 1 that contains distinct integer in the range from 1 to n inclusive. This array represents a permutation of an integer from 1 to n with one element missing. Our task is to identify and return the missing element. The example that you can see here is one, we are given an array that is 1, 2, 3, and 5, and we have to return the missing element, which in this case is 4. Now, the brute force would be to check first element, then add 1, and then check if 1 plus 1, that is 2, exists in the array or not, then doing the same for rest of the elements in the array, which would be the brute force and would be increasing the time complexity. So rather than doing that, I have a different thing in mind, which is that we'll calculate the sum of this array. If you see here, the array is 1, then 2, then 3, and 5, which comes up to the total of 11. And because we are already given that we have a size of array n minus 1, which has distinct integers from range 1 to n, we have a formula in maths that we use to calculate sum of n integers, first n integers, which is this. So we'll be using this and calculating it. Now, one thing to note here is that because the size of the array dot length is what, 4, but because we have 1 to n, that is why we'll be taking the size of array as, so 4 plus 1, I mean the length of course is 4, but the value of n that would be taking would be 4 plus 1. I hope you understand why we are taking 4 plus 1 here, because see, ideally the array should be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but because there's one missing number, that is why our length is as 4. But while calculating the sum of those all 5 elements, we'll be needing the sum for all first 5 elements, then only we'll be able to find the missing element, that is 4 here. Let me just quickly start with code. We can see we have to return an int here, so let's just get started. Let me do int arr is equals to int n is equals to arr dot length plus 1 int sum of array is equals to 0 for int I is equals to 0, I less than n minus 1, I plus plus. Let us calculate the sum of the array. Plus is equals to arr of I. For calculating the sum of n, we'll be using formula which is n into n plus 1 divided by 2. Now, because this could be a greater number, you can understand that, right? Because it is sum of first 5 elements, whereas the array is just for 4 elements, and we have to find the 5th missing element. So we have to return sum of n minus sum of array, and it should give us the element that we need. Now, if you compile this code, you will see that the compilation would work perfectly fine and we're able to match the answer. But if we see the constraints here, the constraint says that the array size is what, 10 ki power 6. 1 is between 1 to 10 ki power 6. Now, if you closely look here, n is nothing but array's length, which of course is array's size. So because we'll be multiplying n with n, this means we'll have 10 to the power as 6 into 10 to the power 6, which will approximately come as 10 to the power 12, which is greater than 10 to the power 9. So if you see here, this will, the test is gonna fail for larger inputs of array. I'll show you after submitting the code. You can clearly see here that for a certain bigger inputs, our test is gonna give us wrong answers because it is considering instead of int, I mean the integer, the value is getting lost because it is giving overflow of integer. To overcome this, what we can do is we can take this as long, this is long, this as long, and while giving this back we can convert it back into integer. And as far as I know, this should do the trick and we'll be able to solve the question now. So the question was easier. The only part that was tricky was this, that this long was missing, so our test was failing. This is our second question. Thank you so much. Please do subscribe the channel. Please watch this 90 days challenge, and I'll update if I'm able to crack into some company with this 90 days element. Thank you so much.